Hi everyone, it's Ken with Ken's Creations. I am going to go ahead and dive right into my project today. I am making a card for a coworker who is going to Hawaii and turning 60. So I wanted to make her a card that was fun and incorporated both. So here's the outside of the card, which is a lady relaxing out on the beach. And then on the inside it says, "Here's to celebrating the 39th anniversary of your 21st birthday," which is a fun little quote that I thought would be perfect. So once again, here's the outside and the inside. Um, I always leave a little white blank piece of paper there so people can write their sentiments, so that's why it's blank. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I used my Silhouette Cameo and my Cricut machine on this card. The first thing I did on the Silhouette Cameo was print this background. Now, since I've had the Cameo, I've discovered more and more things that I can do, and by far my favorite feature is the print and cut. So let's show you how I did that background. Very easy. What you want to do is you just want to go to google.com, okay? And then just look up what you're looking for. So ours is a beach cartoon background, okay? And it's going to bring up web searches, but what we want is we actually want to go into the images. Now, once inside the images, all of these images could be imported into your Silhouette machine. Okay, so a couple tips. Obviously, number one, if they're copyrighted, they'll actually have a copyright. Like that one there, you can kind of see it says 123 RF. You can't get rid of that when it's in Silhouette, so you need to look for stuff like that. The other thing you want to look for is the size of the picture. The bigger the size, the higher the quality. So, for example, if I was to download this one, it's only 350 by 435. The quality is not going to be very good. Here's the one I actually downloaded, and it's 1600 by 1200, which is actually a perfect size. So all we have to do is we just, on my computer at least, you just click it and drag it over to your desktop, okay? Now once you've done that, here it is right here on my desktop. You're going to bring up your Silhouette machine and get your page ready. So I'm doing a print and cut, so I want to make sure that I show my registration marks. I set up my machine so I'm a texture cardstock, and then we also want to make sure that I'm an 8.5 by 11 paper size because that's what my printer will print. Now once I've done that, I'm just going to click that image that I took from Google and drag it right onto my mat here, okay? Now when I do this, as you can see, it's huge. Don't worry, we're going to resize it. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that picture is selected, and you can kind of see the box around it there with the arrows. Once we have it selected, we want to go into this one here, which is scale. Now on this one, we don't want to lock the aspect ratio, which I usually will tell you to do. And the reason why is I want to be very specific, and I want it to be 4 by 6. So I want it to be 4 inches high and 6 inches wide. And then just hit apply, and as you can see, it's resized. So there is my background. So we want to make sure we move it down, obviously, so it's not in those print cut lines because it can't be there. And we're almost ready to go. Now, if I was to send this to the printer, it'd be perfect. But once I send it to the Silhouette, it wouldn't do me no good. Because right now, if I go to my cut settings, which is the scissor with the red line, you can see that I am not telling the machine to cut around it. So you want to make sure that this item is selected and it says cut edge. So that way when you send it to your Silhouette, it will actually cut the edge for you. Okay? So that takes care of the background for you. So that is the first thing. Now all I did on the background is I added some Ranger Stickles glue here to give it some sparkle. I added some glitter down on the beach to give it a look of sand, and I just used that using glue and then put them on there and heated it. And then I used some white flock in the clouds to kind of give them a fluffy white look. And all of those I use different items. The Stickles glue is the Ranger Stickles glue. Great stuff. I love it. I use it for everything. It comes in many different colors, so I definitely recommend it. Any glitter will work for you. So I went ahead and did all of that, set it aside so it could dry. The next thing I did is I needed to cut out this lovely girl here drinking her Long Island iced tea. And I did that in my Cricut craft room. The cartridge this is actually on is called Pack Your Bags. So if you go to the Cricut website, you'll see it here. It's Pack Your Bags. And the one that we're going to be doing is this girl right here. And I believe she's on page, I want to say she's on page 52, and she had 4 or 5 different pieces to her. There she is. I just passed her. All right, she's towards the back of the book. I know that. Okay. And there she is. So as you can see here, here's all the different pieces for her. It looks like there is a total of 6. So in my Cricut craft room, I went ahead and cut her at 2.5 inches. So as you can see here, she is 2.5 inches high, not wide. And then here's all of her other parts. Now when I use Cricut Craft Room, I do put it all in one mat, and then I cut my paper down to fit on the mat. So that way I only have to cut once. So right here I would normally have put the white color, this was the black color, this here was the skin color, purple for her swimsuit, and then yellow for her drink. And I cut it on heavy cardstock in my Cricut machine, and I assembled it. Pretty easy on that. Now, I did use a high pearl paint on the chair to give it kind of a rubber look. And then I did use foam squares to raise her up from the chair, and then foam squares behind that to raise it up from the beach. Okay? So the only thing we need to do left on this card is this hibiscus border. Now, this took a couple of steps, so let's go ahead and first we need to go to the Silhouette online store, and we need to download that hibiscus flower. So if you go to Silhouette online store and you just look up hibiscus, it'll bring up a whole bunch of different hits. Here is the one we want, and you just want to go ahead and add that. Now I have the subscription service, so I can download up to $150 for $16.99 a month. I highly recommend it. It is amazing. So once you've done that, we're actually bringing up my silhouette here. We've already printed and cut that, so that's going away. Our page is still set up from before. So the first thing we need to do is we need to design that. So we're going to go into my images here, and I have that under beach and tropical. There's my hibiscus border. And if I double click that, it brings it up. Now that looks a little different than my finished project, which is right here. And the reason why is you can either print and cut this, or you can cut it as separate pieces. I wanted to use the print and cut feature, so I'm going to show you quickly how to do that. First thing we need to do is resize the image. So we're just going to click anywhere, and it's going to put a box around it. We're going to go to that scale size. This one we're going to want to lock the aspect ratio because I only want it to be 5 inches high. So I'm going to put in the 5 inches high in the height here, hit apply, and it shrinks right down for you. Okay, so let's go and zoom in so we can see that a little closer. Now I want to start coloring these pieces. So if I was to just click this, go to my color, and let's say hit red, it colors all my pieces, which I don't want to do. I want to individually color them. So what we need to do is we need to, with the box around it, right click and put ungroup. Now this is going to break it all into ungroups. Now I'm able to go through and choose whatever color I want. So I can go through and say I want to do these blue. Okay. And then I can come and do the same thing on these leaves. Okay. So now I can actually go on the leaves and put any color that I want. Now, a couple things on the leaves. As you see, when I went in there, it colored the whole leaf green. I want to make sure that little sliver in there is white. So when I actually click this, I want to click that sliver. It's just going to put a box around the sliver. I'm going to go back to white, and it's going to turn white again for me, as you can see. Okay? So once again, you're just going to go through here and do that to all of your leaves. Okay? Now, I've had some people tell me that, oh, do you know a much easier way would be to draw a box around it, which they're right, hit group, and then just put green, and it's going to color it all green. Okay? Now, when you do those little white inserts, though, you're going to have to ungroup it and then go back over and change those to white. Okay? Now, let's move on to the flowers. Same thing again on the flowers. You could do them all one color. For this, we'll actually do that just to save some time. I did mine 2 different colors, so I'm going to group them real quick. We're going to say we want to do those in pink, brings it into pink. And then we're going to undo it, ungroup again, and then that way I can go in and select just the inside here, to change it to that cream color if I want it to be, okay? Now you can go through and change it however you want. Do the cream and the pink on the inside. Do the just the cream on the inside. Have fun with it, okay? Now, if I was to cut it right now, I would have to build this whole thing using glue or stickers. I want to go ahead and assemble it like this, okay? And how you do that's really easy. Once again, you want to make sure you are familiar with your group and ungroup, okay? So let's start with the leaves. I'm going to move them one by one. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that I can do that by ungrouping them or grouping them again. So I want to just use this leaf, so I'm going to go just around that leaf, right click, group, and then when I move it, that whole leaf moves. Yay! Okay? So once again, on the leaf, right click, draw a box around it, right click, group, and I can move the leaf. Okay, and I can do this over and over again until I get it exactly how I want it. So I'm going to move my leaf right there, and right there. And then once again, I'm going to do that with the flowers. I'm going to want to make sure I draw a box around them, right click, group, and then I can move my flower. And voila. Okay, so now you're going to do that all the way down. Okay, so you're going to do that along your whole image here. Now, when you are done, you're going to want to draw a box around your finished one, and you're going to want to group it again. And that way, if you do that, it will move all together. So if we didn't do that, and I move this, it would be separate. So we want to make sure we group it together, okay? Now, very, very, very important. When you are ready to send this to your printer, once again, I can't stress enough, you want to go to your cut settings. Right now, if I was to cut this, it's going to cut everything out. I don't want that because it's going to cut through my flower and my leaves. So when I have it selected, I select the one I want, and I want to make sure it just says cut edge. And as you can see here now, it's just going to cut around the edges of it for me. Okay, very, very important. If not, you'll be redoing it. Okay, so that is how we designed this one here. So once again, if I was to show you this and I hit my cut lines, see how it's just cutting along the edge. Very important. Okay, so now I made two of these flowers. One is for the inside of the card and one is for the outside. So here's 5 inches tall for the outside. And then on the inside, here's one that was done at 7 inches for the inside. Now, this was actually very easy to do. All you have to do, let's go ahead and pretend this one doesn't exist. I'm going to show you how easy it is. All you do is you draw a box around it, and you're going to right-click and hit duplicate. That's going to create a brand new one for you. So there's our new one right here. So first of all, we want to turn it to where it is, or we want to size it to where it is at 7 inches high. So we want to come up into our little scale one, lock aspect ratio, 7 inches high, apply. And there it is. Yay! So now we also want to, you don't have to turn it, you could print it this way because obviously you can turn it later, but I went ahead and turned it so I could fit it onto my sheet. So with the box still drawn around it, we're going to hit our little circle arrow here, hit the 90 degrees, and boom, there it is. All done. Put it right towards the top, and we're set. Once again, I'm just going to double check my cut lines on that, and it is just cutting the edge. So that is done for you, okay? So that takes care of the flower here and the flower on the outside. So the last item that we need to get ready to cut is this right here for the same. Now, on this one here, let's go and open a new window to show you this. Let's get rid of all of this stuff. Okay, so on this one here, I actually went once again to the Silhouette store and downloaded under the shapes my background image. So it is under labels and shapes, and it's just called the Flower Artisan. Flower Artisan. So we're going to select that. Now normally I would resize this to fit usually 5x7 card or whatever, but I actually like the size it is done right now. It's about 5 inches by 3.5 inches. So there is the inside. Now we need to create this white piece right here, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select this. I'm going to go up here to where there's this cube with inside a cube, and that's our offset. We're going to hit internal offset, and it makes an identical object inside that. Now I don't want the extra flower, so I'm going to make my offset a little smaller. And this little scale here, if I actually drag it down, you'll start seeing my offset get smaller. So you just get it as small to whatever size you like it. So I kind of like it right there. And as you can see, now I have this one and the end one. So with the end one selected, we're going to move that out of the way and just concentrate on this one. So we're going to select that. We're going to go up here that has this little bucket with paint coming out of it and say we want that purple. Once again, we're going to go into the cut option to see what it is, because right now if it was to cut, it is going to cut the outside, the inside of the flower, and this little piece under the flower, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So that one is perfect. Okay? On this one, let's go ahead and bring that one back in. First thing we're going to do is we're going to fill it white. And this one here I always mess up on because I forget to fill it white, and if I was to not, it would still cut on white, but you can also see that it's white by bringing it over here off the mat. So, and I can bring it up here. Yay, look at that. It's going to be white. Okay? So the next thing we need to do is we need to concentrate on this. Here's to celebrating the 39th anniversary of your 21st birthday. First thing you have to do is you have to go to dafont.com, www.dafont.com, to download this font. Now, what you can do is, just to find the font, is you can actually go into any category, type your text here. So let's just put happy birthday, hit submit, and it will actually show you what the text is going to look like. Okay? Now the text that I ended up using is actually fun text, and it is actually called font. It's a very interesting name, but the last part of it is the name of it is Sparkle. So we're gonna go ahead and look for that on DaFont because I remembered. So it's called Sparkly. Hit search, and there it is. It's actually called fontdinner.com Sparkly. Never even heard of that. But there's the font we want. So if we select that font, it will actually bring up what all the font looks like, big and small. And we're going to hit download, and it's going to download right into our computer, and then we can install it on our Silhouette software. So once you have it installed, what you're going to do is you're going to come over here to the left and select this little A with the little red blinker next to it. And you're going to select the A up here, which is the text style. Okay, we're going to make sure our font, we can find it in this list. So we're going to scroll up to where the F's are at. Now the great thing about the Silhouette software is you can download any font into here. So as you can see, I have quite a bit of font, but any font on that dafont.com. So the possibilities are endless. I mean, you have just so many different options. Okay, so we're going to search for the font by just putting font.com Sparkly, which is right there. Now, when we're ready to type, we just take our cursor and put it anywhere we want. It can go anywhere. And what this will do is let us go ahead and type what we want to. So we're going to type, here's to celebrating your 39th anniversary of your 21st birthday. Okay? And obviously the first thing we see is it's way too big. So all we have to do is we just highlight it. And over here where it says text size, we're going to go from 72 down to 36. Ta-da! And it shrunk right perfectly. Alright, so now you have two pieces here. You have your background and you still have your font. So let's move our font out of the way for now, or the white background. And we want to go ahead on the font here, and we want to put color in that. So we want to make sure it's pink. Okay, so now if I bring it back over, you can see it's going to be pink. Okay, so before you meld those together, what you want to make sure is, we want to make sure that when we actually print this and cut this, if we were to sit right now and go to my cut settings, you're going to see it's going to cut around each one of those little tiny letters, which we do not want. So I need to make sure to select the font and put no cut. Okay, that means it will just print no cut. And we have it saying that it will cut around this, which is perfect. So the next thing we need to do is go ahead and take that font and put it in there. Okay? Now, let's say I just put my font like that and I went, oh, well, no big deal, I'll figure it out later. I can actually draw a cube around this, and we're first going to come up here to where there's these three little cubes sideways, and that's the align menu, and we're going to hit center, and it's going to center that font perfectly right in that. All right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to right click and group it. And now when I move it, it all moves together. So the finished product will look like this, but I want to make sure it's separate so that way I can, if I wanted to, I could use foam squares to rise it up or what have it. So there is the finished thing all done before I printed it. Once again, a couple tips right before you print it is you want to look at your cut settings. And you also want to look at, make sure that you're within those, all the setups perfect. So we obviously looked at our, where did it all go? I think I accidentally hit over. Sorry, guys. When in doubt, there you go. Hit the undo button. Gotta love it. Oh, brother. All right, so anyways, now that we have everything where we want to do, we want to check our cut, make sure it's cutting just around the edges, which it is. Cutting around the edges, edges, edges. Perfect. And then we want to make sure our page setup's right. So we have our registration marks. We are on an 8.5 by 11. We have heavy cardstock, so we're going to go ahead and send this to our printer. Once it's done printing, we're going to go ahead and send it to the silhouette, and we're going to cut it. All right. So that is all of your pieces. So when I put this together, a couple things I used also. Once again, on these flowers, I used the Stickles glue to give it kind of that flower look there. And then I put these little gems. As you can see, I put the gems inside of these flowers. And then I also put the gems inside of these flowers. That's not the best picture. Let me go to the next one. The gems in these flowers. Now, what I did to use that is if you actually go to your lure, you can go to the Imaginus website, and right here it's called the iRock. This thing is amazing. All it does is it's a battery operated heater, and you actually can buy all these little gems, these crystals, and then you put them anywhere on your project, and you use that little machine for about a minute on there, and it actually melts the glue to the paper, and it gives it that cute little finished jeweled look. All right, so that is everything. That card is done and how I created it using the software in Cricut Craft Room, Silhouette Cameo. The one thing I can tell you guys is please go into Silhouette Cameo. You can't hurt anything. Play around with it. Mess around with it. It's so much fun. The print and cut feature is amazing, and I love all of the endless possibilities. All right, well, thank you to all my YouTube followers, and thank you to all the followers of my blog. You can look at my blog at www.creativeken.blogspot.com, and that's CreativeKen, KreativeKen.blogspot.com. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Bye.